The Closet of Secrets. Sam's eyes opened to darkness. The air felt thick and strange, humming with an electric buzz. Cold metal pressed against his back. He tried to sit up, but something blocked his way. His heart raced. Where was he? He reached out, feeling smooth metal walls all around. He was trapped, in a closet, maybe. His breath quickened. The last thing he remembered was walking into the guest room of his stepsister's family home on the alien planet Alara. Now he was here, locked away like a prisoner. A sharp whisper broke the silence. "Don't move." Sam froze. The voice came from the other side of the closet. Someone was here with him. He squinted into the dimness and saw glowing eyes staring back. "Vera?" he asked, recognizing his alien stepsister's voice. "Sha," Vera hissed. Her eyes glowed bright blue in the dark, a sign of fear for her species. "You shouldn't be here." "Why? What's going on?" Sam whispered, heart pounding harder. Vera shifted uncomfortably. "It's mating season," she said softly. "Mating season." Sam's mind raced. He'd heard about this. Alaran females released special scents during this time to attract mates. The males became aggressive, territorial, and dangerous, especially toward outsiders, like him. He tried the door handle, but it didn't budge. "Why am I here?" "I don't know," Vera said. "I came into my room, and you were already locked here with me. I think someone set us up." The metal walls vibrated as a deep, guttural growl echoed from outside the closet. Sam's pulse spiked. The sound was low and angry, like a wild animal stalking its prey. Vera tensed. "They're here." "Who?" "The males." She swallowed hard. "They're looking for me. And now, for you." Sam gripped the handle again, pulling with all his strength. "We need to get out of here." "No. If they hear us, they'll break the door down," Vera whispered, grabbing his arm. "We stay quiet." Another growl came from the other side of the wall, closer this time. Heavy footsteps followed, each step vibrating through the floor. Sam held his breath as the footsteps stopped right in front of the closet. The creature outside sniffed the air. Sam could hear its sharp breaths through the thin metal. "Why are they after me?" Sam mouthed silently. Vera looked away, guilt flashing in her glowing eyes. "Because, when I found you unconscious earlier, I touched your shoulder." Sam frowned. "So, in my culture, when a female touches a male during mating season, it leaves a scent, a challenger's mark. It tells everyone you're my chosen mate." Sam's mouth went dry. "On what?" The creature outside growled again. The door handle rattled. Sam's panic surged as a sharp claw scraped across the door. The lock hissed. "It's trying to open the door," he whispered. "We need a distraction," Vera said, reaching into her pocket and pulling out a small metal cube. She pressed a button, and the cube lit up softly. "This will send out a decoy scent signal." The creature outside slammed against the door. The metal bent inward. Another hit like that, and the door would break. "Now, Vera," Sam urged. She twisted the cube, and it released a faint mist through the cracks of the closet. The footsteps stopped. The creature sniffed the air again, growled, and then stomped away, following the false trail. Sam exhaled in relief. That was close. Vera didn't relax. "It'll come back when it realizes it's a trick. We need to move." She pushed on a panel at the back of the closet. It clicked open to reveal a narrow passageway. "Where does that go?" Sam asked. "Servant tunnels. They run through the house," Vera explained. "Hurry." Sam crawled through the passageway behind her. The metal tunnel was tight, forcing them to move on hands and knees. The air inside smelled like burning leaves, an Alaran security scent that masked their trail. "Why would someone lock me in here with you?" Sam whispered. "I don't know," Vera said. "But mating season isn't just about finding a mate. It's about status and power. If a male defeats you, he earns the right to claim me. and gains influence in our society. Sam's stomach dropped. So, they want me dead. Vera nodded. Yes. The tunnel vibrated suddenly. From behind, a metallic shriek rang out. Sam twisted around and saw the closet door explode open. A hulking figure crouched there, its eyes glowing like burning coals. It sniffed the air and let out a furious roar. It's found us. Sam gasped. Go, faster, Vera urged. They scrambled through the tunnel as the creature charged after them, its claws scraping the walls. The passage twisted sharply ahead. Sam followed Vera around the corner. Behind them, the creature roared again. The tunnel shook, and the floor gave way beneath Sam's hand. He lost his grip and slipped. Sam, Vera screamed, grabbing his wrist. But her strength wasn't enough. His hand slipped from hers. He fell into the dark. The hunt begins. Sam hit the ground hard, the impact knocking the air from his lungs. Cold metal scraped his palms as he pushed himself up, blinking into the darkness. The tunnel above him was gone, collapsed. Dust and faint blue mist drifted through the air like ghostly threads. Somewhere high above, Vera called his name, her voice thin and distant. I'm here. Sam shouted, coughing. His voice echoed through the underground passage, swallowed by the mechanical hum of the alien infrastructure. The ground vibrated beneath him. Not the familiar hum of the walls, but footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps. Sam's instincts screamed for him to move. He scrambled forward, the dim tunnel stretching ahead like a metallic throat. The air smelled sharper here, tinged with ozone, and that strange, spicy scent that Vera had mentioned. Pheromones. Mating season pheromones. He rounded a corner and stopped. A faint red light glowed from the ceiling, revealing twisted pipes along the walls. The tunnel split into 3 paths. Sam hesitated, sweat prickling his neck. Left, right, straight. He strained his ears, trying to hear the footsteps behind him. Too late. A deep growl came from the left passage. A massive shadow emerged. A male Aileron, tall and muscular, with skin like obsidian glass. Its eyes glowed crimson as it sniffed the air. The creature's nostrils flared. It turned its head toward Sam. It smelled him. Sam's heart leaped into his throat. He bolted down the right tunnel. The creature roared and charged after him, its claws scraping sparks from the floor. Sam sprinted through the maze of twisting corridors. He turned corners blindly, following the slope of the floor as it curved downward. The alien growls echoed closer with every step. His lungs burned. His legs ached. Panic surged through him. He rounded another corner and slammed into a wall. No, a door. Thick, metallic, with alien script etched into the surface. There was no handle, no keypad, just a faint blue glow in the center. Sam pounded his fist on the door. Open. Come on. Open. The footsteps grew louder. Closer. The creature appeared at the end of the tunnel. It crouched low, shoulders tense, eyes locked on Sam. It roared, charging forward. Sam lunged for the glowing circle. His palm slapped against the surface. The door clicked, then hissed open just as the creature reached for him. Sam threw himself through the gap. The door slid shut with a metallic clang. The creature's claws screeched against the metal on the other side, accompanied by furious growls. Sam staggered back, heart hammering in his chest. He was safe. For now. The room was dimly lit by faint blue crystals set into the walls. Strange carvings covered the floor, spiraling like the branches of a tree. The air here was thinner, cooler. The hum of the walls sounded deeper, like a mechanical heartbeat. Where am I? He muttered. Suddenly, his wrist vibrated. He glanced down. The thin silver band had appeared on his skin, glowing softly. It hadn't been there before. The glow pulsed in time with the hum of the room. Sam touched it, and a holographic image appeared before him. A projection of Vera. Sam, you're alive. Vira's relief was clear in her wide, glowing eyes. I found the security system and connected to it. I can see you on the monitors. Where am I? Sam asked, breathing heavily. You're in the heart chamber. It's an old sanctuary from the ancient clans. The suitors won't enter there, unless the bond is confirmed. Bond? What bond? Sam demanded. Vira bit her lip. The mark I gave you. It doesn't just signal that you're my mate. It challenges all other suitors. If you stay marked, every male here will keep hunting you until one of you dies. Sam felt cold fear wash over him. How do I remove it? You can't, Vera said softly. Not until mating season ends. Or, she hesitated. Or what? Or until you defeat the alpha, the strongest suitor. If you beat him, the others will stop. Sam's legs weakened. Great, so I just have to fight some alien warrior hopped up on pheromones. Yes, Vera said, but there's a way to survive. The heart chamber has a weapon, an ancient artifact used in mating challenges. Look around for a pedestal. Sam turned, scanning the room. Near the far wall, a thin stone pedestal rose from the floor. On it rested a small metallic sphere etched with glowing lines. He approached cautiously. This? Yes, Vera said. That's the Nexus core. It can disrupt the pheromone signals temporarily, confusing the suitors. But activating it will also send a beacon to the alpha, calling him to the chamber. Calling him here? Sam's voice cracked. Yes, Vera said. It's the only way. If you defeat the alpha, this ends. Sam stared at the sphere. The footsteps outside the door grew quieter, but he knew the suitors were still searching. His chest tightened. He wasn't a fighter. He was just a human teenager stuck in an alien tradition he didn't understand. But there was no escape now. He either triggered the core and faced the alpha, or waited until the others broke through the door. Okay, Sam said. Let's do this. He grabbed the Nexus core. It was cool to the touch, pulsing gently like a living heart. Hold it up, Vera instructed. Now squeeze. Sam squeezed. The sphere vibrated. Energy surged through his body. The rooms on the floor flared bright blue. The walls trembled. The hum deepened into a low, resonant tone. Outside, the growls stopped. Sam's wristband crackled. It's done, Vera said, her voice shaking. The alpha's coming. Sam stood in the center of the chamber, the Nexus core pulsing in his hands. The walls vibrated with heavy footsteps, slow, deliberate, and stronger than any before. Then the door hissed open. A towering figure stepped through. The alpha was larger than any Ellerin Sam had seen. His skin shimmered like dark marble. His eyes glowed with molten red light. He sniffed the air and bared sharp, ivory teeth. Challenger, the alpha growled, voice deep and guttural. Prepare to die. The alien chase. Sam stood frozen as the alpha stepped into the heart chamber. The alien warrior was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with skin as smooth and dark as volcanic glass. His eyes glowed crimson, fixed on Sam like a predator watching prey. The alpha's nostrils flared as he sniffed the air. The scent of the mark, he said, voice like grinding stone. His gaze dropped to the glowing band on Sam's wrist. You bear the challenge seal. You are unworthy. Yeah, well, I didn't ask for it, Sam muttered, gripping the Nexus core tightly. The small orb pulsed with cool blue energy, like a living thing. The alpha stepped forward. His footsteps made the floor shudder. Sam's wristband crackled to life. Vira's voice whispered through it, urgent and fearful. Sam, don't fight him. You can't win in close combat. Use the core. Sam raised the orb and squeezed it again. The glowing lines on its surface twisted, and the chamber's walls shivered. A pulse of blue light shot from the orb, striking the alpha in the chest. The alien staggered back with a snarl. Run, Vera shouted through the wristband. Sam didn't need to be told twice. He sprinted toward a narrow exit at the back of the chamber. The Alpha roared behind him. Sam didn't look back. He ducked through the doorway and into a sloping corridor. The floor vibrated under his feet as the Alpha gave chase. The creature was fast, too fast. Sam could hear the heavy footsteps closing in. "Vera, where does this tunnel go?" Sam gasped, running as fast as he could. "It's an old escape route," Vera said. "It leads to the outer jungle, but the exit is sealed. You'll have to override the control panel at the end." "Great," Sam muttered. His legs burned with every step. He raced around a corner and saw a metal door at the far end of the tunnel. A control panel glowed beside it. Behind him, the Alpha's footsteps grew louder. Sam reached the panel and slammed his hand against it. The screen displayed alien symbols. "Vera, what do I press?" "Top right, then the spiral icon," she said quickly. He followed her instructions. The door groaned, gears grinding. It opened just as the Alpha rounded the corner. The creature roared and lunged. Sam dived through the gap. The Alpha's clawed hand swiped at him, slicing through his shirt and grazing his back. Pain seared across his skin. He hit the ground hard on the other side as the door slammed shut behind him. The tunnel opened into a thick, glowing jungle. Trees with silver trunks and bioluminescent blue leaves towered overhead. Strange, floating spores drifted through the air, glowing faintly. The ground was covered in a soft, moss-like substance that squished under Sam's feet. He staggered forward, clutching his injured back. His breathing was ragged. "Vera, I'm out." "Where are you?" "I'm tracking your signal," Vera said. "I'm above you in the treetops. Stay still." Sam collapsed against a tree, trying to slow his racing heart. The cool jungle air soothed the burn on his back. He closed his eyes for a moment. A soft thump sounded nearby. Sam opened his eyes and saw Vera crouched on a low branch. Her silver skin shimmered in the soft light, and her eyes glowed faintly. She dropped to the ground beside him. "You're hurt," she said, kneeling next to him. "I'm fine," Sam said through gritted teeth. "We need to keep moving." "You're right," Vera said. She stood and helped him up. "The Alpha won't stop. You've challenged him by surviving this long. Now he has to kill you to restore his dominance." Sam groaned. "I never asked to challenge anyone. You were marked. In our culture, that's enough," Vera said, guilt in her voice. Sam shook his head. "Okay, so what now? What's the plan?" Vera pointed toward the far side of the jungle. "There's an ancient shrine deeper in the forest. It's a sanctuary protected by old technology. If we get there, we can block the Alpha's senses temporarily. It'll give us time to think." "Lead the way," Sam said. They moved quickly through the glowing forest. The trees swayed gently even though there was no wind. Strange, floating insects buzzed past, their wings producing soft, musical notes. Sam's body ached, but fear drove him forward. "Vera, why would someone lock me in that closet with you?" he asked as they ran. Vera hesitated. "I've been thinking about that. The Alpha wasn't just any suitor. He's from the Bloodclaw clan, a powerful family that's been trying to claim my mother's political influence for years. If he mates with me, his clan gains status. If he kills you in a public challenge, his dominance is cemented." "So this is political?" Sam asked. "Partly, and partly biological. Mating season on Alara is complicated." "Yeah, no kidding," Sam muttered. A distant roar echoed through the trees. The ground trembled beneath their feet. "He's tracking us," Vera said. "The pheromone scent is strong here. We need to move faster." They sprinted deeper into the jungle. The glowing spores swirled around them like tiny fireflies. Vines slithered across the ground, almost as if the forest itself was shifting in response to their movement. "How far is the shrine?" Sam asked, breathless. "Just ahead," Vera said. The trees opened into a clearing. At the center stood an ancient structure, partially covered in glowing moss. Stone pillars surrounded a circular platform etched with swirling symbols. There, Vera pointed to the platform. If we activate the field, it'll mask our scent. They rushed to the shrine. Vera placed her hand on a stone pedestal, and the symbols glowed beneath her touch. The air around the platform shimmered, turning faintly blue. That should confuse him, she said, exhaling in relief. But before Sam could respond, the ground trembled violently. The trees at the edge of the clearing bent as something massive pushed through the undergrowth. The Alpha stepped into view. His eyes blazed red. His chest heaved with fury. The shrine's protective field flickered and died. No, Vera whispered. He's adapted to the core's signal. He's stronger than we thought. The Alpha raised his arms and roared. The sound shattered the stillness of the jungle. Sam tightened his grip on the Nexus core and stepped in front of Vera. Well, he muttered, I guess we find out what happens when a human fights an alien in mating season. The Alpha crouched, muscles coiling for a leap. And then it sprang. The forbidden sanctuary. The Alpha lunged with terrifying speed. Its massive form shot through the air like a black spear, claws extended, eyes burning red with primal fury. Sam reacted without thinking. He squeezed the Nexus core again, aiming it at the charging creature. A pulse of blue energy blasted from the orb, crackling through the air like a miniature lightning storm. The Alpha twisted midair. The energy wave hit its side, sending it crashing into the glowing moss with a ground-shaking impact. The creature roared in pain, but was already rising to its feet, eyes locked on Sam. Run, Vera shouted, grabbing Sam's arm. They sprinted toward the far side of the clearing, slipping through a narrow gap between two enormous trees. Behind them, the Alpha roared again, the sound vibrating through the forest like an earthquake. Where are we going? Sam panted as they ran. The sanctuary beneath the shrine, Vera said. The entrance is hidden in the roots of the elder tree. The glowing jungle seemed to shift as they moved. Vines slithered out of their path, while the bioluminescent spores formed swirling patterns in the air. Sam tried to ignore the eerie sensation that the forest was watching them. They burst into a smaller clearing. At its center stood the elder tree, a massive trunk stretching high into the misty sky. Its roots coiled over the ground like petrified snakes. Here, Vera crouched beside a thick root and pressed her palm against the bark. Glowing lines spread from her hand like cracks in ice. The ground rumbled. The root lifted, revealing a dark stone staircase descending into the earth. Go, Vera urged. Sam darted down the steps, Vera close behind. The roots slammed shut above them, sealing them in darkness. The air was cool and dry, filled with the faint scent of metal and stone. Sam activated the Nexus core, and its blue glow illuminated the narrow stairway. The walls were covered in intricate carvings, alien figures locked in battle, strange symbols spiraling between them. Where does this lead? Sam asked, his voice echoing. The heart of the sanctuary, Vera said. It's sacred ground. Even the most aggressive suitors won't follow us here. Or at least, they shouldn't. Great, that's comforting, Sam muttered. The stairs ended at a circular chamber. The walls curved upward into a dome that shimmered faintly in the Nexus core's light. In the center of the room stood a tall, slender pedestal. Upon it rested a metallic, hexagonal object with glowing veins of blue energy. Sam approached the pedestal. What is this place? This is the Shrine of the Old Paths, Vera said softly. The ancient Aelarans built it during the Great Cultural War. Back then, mating season wasn't about violence. It was a time of unity and shared strength. Sam frowned. So why is it so dangerous now? Vera's eyes darkened. Aelaran clans began to use mating season to assert dominance. The strongest claimed mates not for love, but for power. The Bloodclaw clan was the worst. They changed everything. Let me guess, Sam said. The Alpha hunting us is from the Bloodclaw clan. Vera nodded. His name is Zdorak. He's their strongest warrior. If he defeats you, he'll claim me as his mate and gain control of my mother's political network. Sam ran a hand through his hair. So this is more than just biology. It's politics and war. Yes, Vera said. And right now, we're losing. The ground above them trembled. Faint growls echoed through the stone walls. Sam tightened his grip on the Nexus core. They're searching for us, he said. Yes, but the sanctuary's walls block pheromone signals. They won't find us unless we give ourselves away. Sam exhaled shakily. Okay, good. Let's figure out how to survive this. Vera stepped toward the pedestal and placed her hand on the glowing artifact. The veins of light shifted beneath her touch, forming alien symbols in the air. This is the memory nexus, she explained. It holds the history of the ancient clans and their technology. If we access it, we might find a way to counter Zorak's strength. Sam placed his hand beside hers. The nexus flared with light. A holographic figure appeared above the pedestal, a tall Aileron with pale skin and deep-set eyes. Greetings, seekers, the hologram said. You stand in the shrine of the old paths, where knowledge meets wisdom. What do you seek? Vera spoke first. We seek guidance against a bloodclaw alpha during mating season. The holographic figure's eyes shifted to Sam. Ah, a human bearing the mark of challenge. Rare indeed. Sam swallowed. Yeah, lucky me. Can you help? Perhaps, the hologram said. But the solution requires sacrifice. The ground rumbled again, louder this time. The growls outside grew more distinct. Time is running out, Vera said urgently. Tell us what we need to do. The hologram's expression turned solemn. The Bloodclaw Alpha is driven by the primal instincts amplified by mating season pheromones. To defeat him, you must disrupt his biological connection to the pheromone field. How? Sam asked. By activating the Nexus core at full capacity. But doing so will send a feedback pulse through the planet's pheromone network. And what's the sacrifice? Sam asked warily. The hologram's eyes dimmed. The pulse will permanently alter your physiology. The mark will be erased, but so will your human scent. You will no longer register as human to Aileron's senses. You will become invisible to them. Sam hesitated. Invisible. Vira's face tightened. Aileron's bond through scent. If you do this, no Aileron will ever sense you again. To my people, you'll feel like a ghost. Sam's mouth went dry. If he activated the core, he'd lose more than just the mark. He'd lose his connection to Vera and to her family. They might still see him, but they'd never feel his presence. The bond they'd started to build would vanish. The ceiling cracked. Dust rained down. The growls became snarls. They'd found the outer wall, Vera said, eyes wide. They're trying to break through. Sam looked at the Nexus core in his hands. It pulsed like a tiny heart. His chest tightened. I can't let Zorak win, Sam said. If I do, your family loses everything. The Bloodclaw clan takes control. Vira's eyes glistened. Sam, if you do this, you'll be lost to us. Sam forced a smile. You're the first stepsister I ever had. And the weirdest. I'll always remember you, even if you can't remember me the same way. The walls groaned as cracks spread along the ceiling. Sam placed both hands on the glowing sphere. The light intensified, turning white-hot. Initiate sequence, Sam commanded. Sequence initiated. The hologram responded. Prepare for neural and sensory displacement. The Nexus core vibrated violently. Light shot through the floor, racing along the walls in intricate patterns. The chamber shook. Suddenly, the ceiling collapsed. Zorak burst through, landing with a deafening crash. His crimson eyes locked on Sam. No more running, human, Zorak growled. He lunged forward. The core flared. A pulse of white-blue energy exploded outward. Sam felt it surge through his body like ice and fire. His vision blurred. His skin tingled. His mind felt like it was being stretched and compressed all at once. Zarek roared in agony as the energy wave hit him. His muscles spasmed. His eyes lost their glow. He staggered, falling to one knee. Sam collapsed, the core slipping from his numb fingers. The chamber fell silent. Vira rushed to Sam's side. Sam, can you hear me?" Sam opened his eyes. Vira's face hovered above his. Her eyes glowed faintly with concern, but her nose twitched in confusion. She couldn't sense him anymore. Sam smiled weakly. "Looks like we won." Tears filled Vira's eyes. She reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. But to her senses, he was already gone. The challenge of the Alphas. Sam lay on the cold stone floor, his body heavy and numb. The Nexus core had drained his strength, leaving his limbs like lead. The air around him crackled with the fading energy of the pulse. His chest ached with every shallow breath. Vira knelt beside him, gripping his hand tightly. Her fingers were strong and warm, but her expression was lost. Her eyes glowed faintly with confusion, her nostrils flaring, as she tried to sense his presence through the pheromone field, but found nothing. "Sam," she whispered. He gave a weak nod. "I'm here," he croaked. Her lips trembled. "I can't feel you." Sam forced a smile. "Yeah, that was the deal." A deep guttural groan echoed from across the chamber. Sam's head snapped toward the sound. Zarak, the Blood Claw Alpha, was still alive. The pulse had thrown him against the far wall, where he now crouched, muscles shaking. His obsidian skin was cracked, faint streams of glowing green liquid oozing from the wounds. His eyes, once blazing red, were now dull and unfocused. But he was rising. "He's still standing," Sam gasped. Vera's jaw clenched. "The Alpha bond is strong." The pulse damaged his connection to the pheromone network, but it didn't break it completely. "He'll recover. And when he does..." Sam didn't need her to finish. If Zarak recovered, he'd kill Sam, claim Vera, and secure the Bloodclaw clan's power for generations. Sam forced himself to sit up, gripping the Nexus core. Its surface was dim now, its energy depleted. He tried squeezing it again, but nothing happened. The pulse had drained it dry. "Core's dead," he muttered. "Then we use the old way," Vera said, standing. "The right of combat." Sam's stomach dropped. "Wait, you mean, like, fighting? Hand to hand?" "Yes," Vera said, her voice grim. "In our culture, a formal challenge can override the chaos of mating season. If you challenge Zarak directly, the others will have to stop hunting you. But if you lose..." Sam pushed himself up on shaky legs. Yeah, I die." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Great. So how does this work?" Vira pointed to the pedestal where the memory nexus had been. A new symbol glowed there. 2 interlocked spirals. "Place your palm there. It'll summon the combat circle." Sam hesitated. His entire body ached. His mind screamed that this was madness. He wasn't a warrior. He was just a human teenager trapped in an alien mating ritual gone wrong. But the fear in Vera's eyes gave him the push he needed. He stepped forward, pressed his palm against the symbol, and spoke clearly. "I, Sam Carter, challenge Zarak of the Bloodclaw clan to the right of combat." The floor rumbled. The glowing patterns on the walls shifted, forming a perfect circle around Sam and Zarak. The air thickened, crackling with invisible tension. Zarak straightened. His eyes sharpened as he realized what was happening. His cracked lips curled into a snarl. "You dare challenge me, human?" Sam swallowed hard. "Yeah, I dare." The circle glowed bright blue. A deep voice echoed through the chamber, ancient, cold, and absolute. "Challenge accepted. Let the rite of combat begin." The lights surrounding the circle formed a shimmering barrier that separated Sam and Zarak from Vera and the rest of the chamber. Sam raised his fists, heart racing. Zarak sneered. This will be quick. The Alpha charge. Sam barely had time to react. He ducked as Zarak's claws slashed through the air, missing his head by inches. The force of the strike stirred the air like a storm gust. Sam scrambled backward, trying to remember every self-defense class he'd ever taken. Zarak lunged again, swinging with terrifying speed. Sam dodged to the side, but the Alpha's elbow caught his ribs. Pain exploded through his torso. He hit the ground hard, gasping for breath. "Stay down, human," Zarak growled. "This fight is beneath me." Sam groaned and rolled to his knees. His vision blurred. The glowing barrier around the circle shimmered, distorting the outside world. He saw Vyra on the other side, watching with wide eyes. Her hands were pressed against the invisible wall, mouth moving in silent encouragement. "Think, Sam. You can't beat him with strength." Zarak stalked closer. Sam scanned the floor, searching for anything useful. The stone surface was etched with ancient symbols. He squinted at one beneath his hand. 2 overlapping spirals, just like the one on the pedestal. Spirals. Patterns. Everything here works with patterns. Sam's wristband crackled faintly. "Vera. Patterns. What do they mean?" he whispered. Her voice came through, shaky but determined. "Spirals represent duality, strength and weakness. Balance. The right tests not just strength, but cunning." Sam's eyes widened. He pushed himself to his feet. "You're stalling," Zarak growled, rushing forward again. Sam jumped backward toward the spiral symbol. The Alpha followed, raising his claws for a killing strike. Just as Zarak's foot touched the center of the spiral, Sam stomped on a smaller symbol at the edge. The ground beneath the Alpha shifted. The stone cracked and collapsed into a shallow pit. Zarak roared as he fell forward, arms flailing for balance. Sam lunged, wrapping his arms around the Alpha's neck. He gripped tightly and twisted, using the alien's own momentum against him. Zarak's weight pitched forward. His head struck the stone floor with a sickening crack. The Alpha groaned, dazed. Sam didn't let go. He squeezed tighter, adrenaline giving him strength. The ancient voice returned. "The challenger has gained the position of dominance. Do you claim victory?" Sam hesitated. Zarak was strong, dangerous, but defeated now. The instincts of the right demanded blood. He remembered Vyra's words. This violence wasn't always part of mating season. It was a tradition corrupted by greed and power. "No," Sam said, breathing hard. "I don't kill defeated enemies. I claim mercy." The chamber went silent. The glowing barrier around the combat circle flickered. The ancient voice spoke again. "Mercy granted. The challenge is complete. The Bloodclaw Alpha is defeated." The light vanished. Sam released Zarak, who slumped unconscious to the ground. The air seemed to sigh as the tension broke. Vera rushed into the circle and threw her arms around Sam. "You did it. You actually won." Sam sagged against her, exhausted. "Yeah. Somehow." From the shadows, other Ellerin suitors emerged. Their eyes were no longer wild. The pheromone-driven madness had passed. They saw Zarak lying motionless and gave Sam respectful nods. One, a tall female with green eyes, stepped forward. "The right has been honored. The challenge met. The human has claimed the bond." Sam blinked. "Wait, what bond?" Vyra's cheeks turned a darker shade of silver. "By showing mercy, you've completed the bond ritual." Sam's eyes widened. "So, we're officially bonded." Vyra smiled softly. "Yes, you protected me. You fought for me. And you didn't let violence win." The suitors knelt in unison, acknowledging the bond. Sam shook his head in disbelief. "Great," he mumbled. "I'm officially married to my alien stepsister during her mating season. My life is a weird sci-fi sitcom." Vyra laughed and squeezed his hand. "We'll figure it out together." Outside, the jungle air was cool and calm once more. The pheromone storm had passed. But as Sam walked beside Vira through the glowing forest, invisible to every aileron sense, he couldn't shake the feeling that this strange adventure was far from over. Escape through the rift. Sam walked beside Vira through the glowing jungle, his steps slow and cautious. The soft moss beneath his feet pulsed with faint blue light, and the air carried a metallic tang that tickled his nose. His body ached from the battle with Zorak, and the memory of the fight still echoed in his mind. He'd won, not through brute strength, but through clever thinking and mercy. But the cost lingered in every breath. Vira's eyes no longer tracked his movements naturally. She couldn't smell his presence, couldn't sense his pheromones. The bond of scent that connected ailerons was gone from him, erased by the Nexus Core's pulse. To Vira and her people, he was now a ghost. "You're walking too quietly," Vira said suddenly, glancing toward where she thought he stood. She was off by half a step. "I can't tell where you are." "I'm right here," Sam said softly, moving beside her and gently taking her hand. She squeezed his fingers. "It's strange. I can see you. I can hear you. But it's like my instincts say you're not there." Sam's chest tightened. "Yeah, that's part of the deal." They walked in silence for a while. The jungle seemed to breathe around them. Trees shifted as if responding to their presence, and the bioluminescent spores swirled in delicate patterns. Sam felt like the forest itself recognized him as something foreign now, like an invisible intruder. Eventually, they reached a ridge overlooking the valley below. The aileron city shimmered in the distance, towers glowing with soft green and gold lights. Beyond the city was the rift, a swirling silver vortex hovering above a stone platform. It was the only portal that could send Sam home. "There it is," Sam said, pointing. The rift. Vera stared at it, eyes unreadable. "You're really going back?" Sam hesitated. "Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not exactly fitting in here anymore." She looked away. "You defeated the Alpha. You won the bond. You could stay." Sam rubbed the back of his neck. "Stay and do what? I'm a human ghost on an alien planet. I don't even register as a person to your people anymore." Vira's jaw tightened. "You registered enough to beat Zorak. You registered enough to protect me." Sam opened his mouth to reply, but a low rumble interrupted him. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The trees swayed, their glowing leaves shimmering with agitation. "That's not normal," Sam said, gripping the Nexus core, which still hung from a strap on his belt. It was dim and lifeless, its energy spent. Vira knelt and pressed her hand to the moss. Her eyes widened. "The pheromone field. It's unstable." "Unstable how?" "After you activated the Nexus core, the pulse disrupted the mating network. It's collapsing." She stood abruptly. "And when the field collapses, it destabilizes the rift." Sam's stomach turned. "So, the portal could close." "Yes," Vera said. "Forever. Then we need to move." They sprinted down the ridge toward the city. The ground shuddered beneath their feet, and the glowing spores in the air began swirling erratically. The sky above the rift crackled with static energy. As they reached the city's outer edge, the streets were in chaos. Ailerons ran in all directions. Without the pheromone field, their instincts were dulled. For a species that relied on scent, as much as sight and sound, it was like being dropped into a world without gravity. "We need to get to the rift platform," Vera said, weaving through the crowd. Sam followed closely, his gaze darting around. The air crackled with tension. The rift's swirling mass above the city was flickering, its edges fraying like fabric unraveling. They reached the base of the rift platform, a wide, circular stone stage surrounded by glowing obelisks. The silver vortex shimmered above it, shrinking and expanding like a beating heart. Sam jogged toward the control console when a familiar growl froze him in place. From the shadows at the far side of the platform, Zorak emerged. His face was bruised and bloodied, his left arm hanging limply at his side. but his eyes burned with fury. "You're supposed to be defeated," Sam said, stepping in front of Vera. Zarak bared his teeth. "You claimed mercy. I never did." He staggered closer. "I will take what is mine. The rift will collapse. The human will die here, and Vera will be mine." Sam tightened his grip on the dead Nexus core. "Yeah, well, over my dead body. That can be arranged." Zarak lunged. Sam ducked, but the Alpha was faster than before. Pain exploded across his ribs as Zarak's good arm struck him, sending him sprawling across the platform. The Nexus core clattered from his grip, rolling toward the edge of the stage. "Sam!" Vera shouted. She leaped forward, swinging a metal pipe she'd snatched from the control console. The pipe struck Zarak's wounded arm. The Alpha roared and backhanded her across the platform. She crashed into a stone pillar and crumpled to the ground. Sam's vision blurred. The pain in his ribs was sharp and unrelenting. He forced himself to move, crawling toward the Nexus core. Zarak stalked toward Vera, his claws extended. "You will submit." "Get away from her," Sam growled. His hand closed around the Nexus core. "You hold an empty shell, human," Zarak sneered. "It's powerless." Sam gripped the core tightly. It felt like cold metal in his hand, dormant and dead. He stared at the swirling rift overhead. Its energy crackled as it collapsed inward. Energy. Sam turned the core toward the rift and squeezed with all his might. The device hummed faintly. The core was designed to absorb and manipulate energy from the pheromone field, but the rift was pure, raw energy. Electricity surged through the orb. The veins on its surface flared to life with blinding blue light. Zarak turned, eyes narrowing. "Impossible." Sam aimed the core at him. "Surprise!" Jerk. He squeezed again. A bolt of rift energy shot from the orb, striking Zarak square in the chest. The Alpha screamed as the energy coursed through his body. His skin cracked, his muscles convulsed. He staggered backward, collapsing onto the platform. The glow faded from his eyes. Sam fell to his knees, the Nexus core turning cold in his hands once more. The rift above them flickered violently. Vera stirred and sat up, eyes wide. "Sam, the rift, it's collapsing." He limped to her side and helped her up. They turned toward the swirling portal. Its edges crumbled like torn fabric. "This is it," Sam said. "If I don't go now, I never will." Vira's eyes glistened. "You're sure you want to leave?" Sam hesitated. The thought of stepping into that swirling unknown alone terrified him. But he couldn't stay. Not when he no longer belonged here. "I have to," he said softly. "But I'll never forget you." Vira's lips trembled. "And I'll always remember what you did for me." The rift crackled violently. Sam turned toward it. The energy waves distorted the air around it like heat-bending light. He took a step forward. Then Vera grabbed his wrist. "Wait," she said. "I can't feel you, but I can still see you." Sam's heart tightened. "Yeah." Vera leaned forward and kissed his forehead. Her skin was cool, her breath warm. "Go, before it's too late." Sam swallowed hard and turned toward the rift. He sprinted forward, ignoring the pain, and jumped. The vortex roared as he passed through it. The world twisted into silver light. His body felt like it was being stretched into infinity. Then everything went dark. The new understanding. The sensation of falling never ended. Sam's body stretched and twisted as the rift swallowed him whole. Light streamed past him in swirling ribbons, silver, blue, and violet. His thoughts splintered. Time lost meaning. He was nowhere and everywhere, suspended between worlds. Then came the cold. It hit like a tidal wave, sharp and relentless. His skin burned from the icy touch, and his lungs refused to draw breath. Panic surged through him. He reached out blindly, searching for something. Anything. To hold on to. Vira. Her name anchored him for a moment. The memory of her glowing eyes and soft voice steadied his mind. He pictured the gentle squeeze of her hand, the feel of her cool skin against his own. And then, with a jarring thud, he hit the ground. The cold vanished. Warm, humid air filled his lungs. He coughed, rolling onto his side. The ground beneath him was soft, covered in something that smelled faintly of wet earth and burnt plastic. Sam forced his eyes open. Above him stretched a sky of swirling orange and violet clouds, unfamiliar stars flickering beyond the haze. The air hummed faintly with an electrical charge. The scent of metallic ozone lingered in the breeze. "This isn't Earth," he whispered. He pushed himself up. The landscape was alien, rolling hills of black grass, broken by jagged, crystalline formations that pulsed with faint internal light. In the distance, a colossal moon hung low on the horizon, its surface veined with deep cracks like shattered glass. The rift was gone. No shimmering portal, no sign of the energy vortex that had carried him here. Sam's heart raced. "Where am I?" His wristband crackled suddenly. A distorted voice came through the static. "Human signal detected. Unauthorized rift transit. Identity: Sam Carter. Status: unknown." Sam held up his wrist. "Hey, can you hear me? Where am I?" The voice responded, still crackling with interference. "Location: Rift Convergence Zone 7x5. Planetary designation: Corvallis Prime. Status: Interdicted Zone. Return to authorized transit points immediately." "Yeah, sure," Sam muttered. "Just point me to the nearest interdimensional bus stop." The device went silent. He stood, brushing black dust from his clothes. His ribs still ached from the fight with Zorak, but the pain had dulled. He needed a plan. The rift had dropped him on an unknown planet with no resources, no map, and no idea how to get home. The Nexus core hung from his belt, its surface dim and cold. It had drained its power stabilizing the rift, but he refused to abandon it. He scanned the horizon and spotted a faint glow beyond a ridge. Light usually meant civilization, or something close to it. He started walking. The trek was harder than it looked. The black grass grew in thick, tangled patches, and the ground was uneven. The crystals hummed softly when he passed, vibrating with a frequency that made his teeth buzz. As he crested the ridge, the landscape shifted. Below lay a valley filled with towering metallic spires. They looked like skyscrapers, but their surfaces shimmered and shifted, as though made of liquid metal. At the center of the valley stood a massive obelisk, crackling with blue-white energy. Sam squinted. The obelisk's glow looked familiar, like the energy from the Nexus core. "Maybe that's a way home," he said aloud. The path downward was steep, and the black soil crumbled under his feet. He half slid, half ran to the valley floor. The air grew warmer the closer he got to the central obelisk. As he approached the metallic spires, a low growl echoed behind him. Sam froze. Slowly, he turned. A creature emerged from the shadows of the nearest spire. It was sleek and quadrupedal, with skin like black glass. Its eyes glowed pale blue, and its limbs moved with the silent grace of a predator. The creature sniffed the air, then growled again, lips peeling back to reveal sharp, serrated teeth. "Okay, easy there," Sam whispered. He backed away slowly, keeping his eyes on the creature. The predator stalked forward, its muscles rippling beneath its smooth skin. Sam tightened his grip on the Nexus core. Come on, give me something," he muttered, pressing the device's activation trigger repeatedly. The core remained lifeless. The creature crouched, preparing to pounce. Suddenly, the ground between them split open. A silver energy beam shot upward from the soil. The predator yelped and retreated into the shadows. The beam solidified into a figure, a tall humanoid shape draped in shimmering metallic robes. The figure's face was smooth and reflective, like a liquid mirror. "Traveler," the figure said, voice resonating through the air without moving its mouth. "You bear the core." Sam stepped back, gripping the device tightly. Who are you? We are the wardens of the rift. The core belongs to us. Sam's heart pounded. Well, it's kind of mine now. The figure tilted its head. The core is not a tool of possession. It is a key to the ancient networks. You activated it without knowledge. You have disrupted the balance. Yeah, I've heard that before, Sam muttered. Look, I didn't ask to come here. I just want to go home. The warden extended a hand. The Nexus core vibrated on Sam's belt. Your home is no longer accessible. The rift you traveled through was unstable. The pathway has collapsed. Sam's throat tightened. Wait, you're saying I'm stuck here? For now. The core may open a new path if restored, but the restoration process is difficult. Sam rubbed his face. Okay, what do I need to do? The warden gestured toward the central obelisk. The core must be recharged at the convergence pillar. But be warned, others will seek it. The core is the last of its kind. It grants access to ancient power, power that many desire. Fantastic, Sam said. I'm carrying the galaxy's most wanted alien gadget. The warden turned its mirror-like face toward him. You have already attracted attention. The Bloodclaw clan has marked your rift signature. They will pursue you across worlds. Sam's stomach dropped. Xerax people. They're still after me. Yes, the core connects to the universal pheromone network. The Bloodclaw clan seeks to control that power. Sam squeezed the core. He remembered Xerax's eyes, filled with rage and ambition. If his clan gained control of the pheromone network, they'd dominate not just Alara, but countless other worlds. No way, Sam said. I'm not letting that happen. The warden's head tilted again. You are human. Your species is known for resilience. Perhaps you will succeed. The ground trembled. The air crackled with sudden tension. The warden stiffened. They are here. From the shadows beyond the spires, figures emerged. Tall, armored Alarans with crimson visors and black, segmented armor. Bloodclaw warriors. They spread out, weapons crackling with blue electricity. Sam tightened his grip on the Nexus core. Looks like we're skipping the tutorial. The warden raised its hands. Run, human. The fight begins now. The Bloodclaw warriors charge. Sam sprinted toward the convergence pillar, heart pounding. Behind him, energy blasts hissed through the air. The core vibrated in his grasp, reacting to the pillar's energy. As he ran, a single thought burned in his mind. I survived mating season. I can survive this too. The fight for survival was far from over.